All right, cool. I think we're live. Hi, everyone. Hey, welcome to DeFi Talks with DeFi Dad. It is Friday, July 30th, 2021. Today, I'm joined by Louis from the Gelato network. We're going to talk all about this as an automation protocol for smart contracts. Really, it's been, as a user, I've been able to enjoy their products that are integrated into other protocols like InstaDApp. Which is allowing me to farm with Uniswap v3 LPs thanks to their G-UNI technology. So we're going to talk all about the importance of that. And if you're a builder, just how you can start to use Gelato Network. That being said, welcome to the show, Louis. How are you doing?
Hi, everyone. First of all, thanks for having me, DeFi Dad. You just already mentioned there that you've been using Gelato. I think you were actually one of the first Gelato users back when we launched our alpha. Not too many people might remember that, but I think it was in January of 2020, just after 2019, when we launched our first UI, which already had limit orders and so on. And I think, yeah, back then you were our first vocal supporter. So I really appreciate that. It's great to be on your show here, and yeah, we've come a long way since then, for sure. Doing great.
We're gonna also, in case folks are wondering, we're gonna, if you're a user, we're gonna talk about there's an application you all built, Sorbet Finance, where you can place limit orders with Uniswap by using Gelato. So that's really cool. And then also worth noting, it's the 6th birthday of the Ethereum network going live. It's the birthday. That's what I know. We're all happy about that today. Is that what we're actually celebrating? The network?
I think it's the launch of the homestead, the launch of the first mainnet version of Ethereum. Yes. Back in Berlin, I think they started that. Actually, there's a picture on Twitter, and one of our angel investors, Christoph Jensch, was doing that as well back then. So yeah,
it's pretty radical. Yeah, I mean, I definitely can't imagine my life without Ethereum now. And I only got in 2017, so the network had been around a little bit longer, but it's crazy all the progress that I've gotten to see firsthand, and I can't imagine for those that were there actually launching mainnet to think of everything that's happened since then. And this is the best way to celebrate it, actually, because as Louis was mentioning, so a few years ago, you guys launched a UI where you could go in and you could say, if the price of Ether falls to this price, then I would like to sell some Ether, or if, let's say, we hit a certain date and time, move or transfer some tokens from this wallet to that. And there's all sorts of use cases that I was thinking of, as a user. I started thinking, like, this almost could be like you could set it up to say, like, if I die, I was thinking of morbidly here, what happens, if I die, I should have these tokens transferred to a wallet of, my wife or someone else I trust. But then there was the more obvious ideas of just placing a limit order, which is what I described. If it hits a price, sell it or buy it. But since then, you guys have transformed a lot into, being more of a protocol that builders are meant to work with, versus being just this front end, which has opened up a lot more possibilities, I think, for Gelato Network to grow. So before we talk more about that, what is your background? Like, when did you get into crypto in the first place? And I guess, when did you start working on Gelato?
Yeah, so I guess people in the space have all sorts of different and sometimes surprising backgrounds. So I didn't study cryptography or computer science in university. I studied political economy. So I did a lot of game theory in university. I was in London, actually, at King's College. And back then I didn't know what to do with it, actually. So that kind of alienated me a bit sometimes. But when I discovered crypto, like I think it was 2016, then I suddenly like saw like how what I learned at university actually made sense if it was applied to like an economic system that uses technology to kind of like police these games that are being played. So that really caught my attention. And yeah, so I started in crypto really in early 2017. I was just trading, to be honest, early on. And I mean, I was immediately hooked on the tech. I read a bunch of papers. I read like the early Casper proof of stake papers and all of that. And then eventually just decided that I wanted to code on this. So I taught myself how to code Solidity. And same for my best friend and co-founder Hilmar. He like we were doing the same things back then. Always like kind of lived together in the same towns, and this just caught our attention. And I never like was hooked on something like this ever before. You know, like since then, I think since I watched my first videos about how cryptography and so on works, that's like 4 years ago. Every day I spent thinking about it or like working on it. So yeah, that's how I got into the space. And in 2019, I was ready for my first Ethereum project, and Hilma and I basically applied for a grant at Gnosis. They have been our most, like our earliest supporters probably, and we got a big grant from them in 2019, or like a bigger grant from their ecosystem project in May. And early on, we just automated some things for their Dutch exchange, it was called. It needed some automation for automated withdrawals. And we immediately realized that actually every smart contract on Ethereum probably has some functions that need to be automated. Like when users look from the outside, it seems like smart contracts are so magical. They do all these things autonomously and automatically, but that's actually not the truth. Like the EVM is very constrained. Like it can only run programs synchronously. It can't run them asynchronously. Normal users from the Web2 land are like they experience servers that continually run, right, and that continually serve them great UX, and you didn't have that in Web3 until like we came along basically in 2019 and basically wanted to build this protocol and this way of basically having decentralized servers, so that applications can make use of servers again in the Web3 land as well, without having to sacrifice or giving up users' keys or like private data too much. Yeah.
Yeah, really. I mean, this is just another example of a protocol that is like enabling a better user experience for us as DeFi users. And I mean, I want to say when you guys first launched, I remember thinking like, this is kind of like if this then that, or like Zapier. But you had at that point, you were building more of a product that seemed to put that power into the hands of the user, which I think we've talked about before. It's difficult to get adoption because you have to have tinkers. You have to have, people who are like, oh yeah, like I want to create conditional logic to execute actions that I want to take. And I think what's been interesting, of course, is to see you all pivot to just working directly with developers. So I think like it might make sense now to talk about some of the early use cases, as you all are getting ready to launch a DAO. So I'm guessing with those incentives added, despite the pipeline you've described of interest, which I know you all have been very overwhelmed by, you're just going to have that much more interest. And I could share my screen as we talk through this. There is actually, do you want to share your screen as because we're going to hop into Sorbet.
Yeah, for sure. I can do that.
Talk about it. The one in particular, maybe we could touch on first is, this most obvious one of limit orders. You guys built this UI for placing a limit order through Uniswap called Sorbet.finance. Can you talk me through what are we looking at here? How does it work?
Yeah, so can you see my screen?
I can, yep, we're all good.
Yeah, so basically this is a very simple UI. As you might remember, we had a UI already in like 2 years ago, almost 1.5 years ago, with limit orders and so on. But now after we built the whole backend infrastructure, like you said, we pivoted away from like doing our own UI. We never really wanted to do that. We just wanted to like give Gelato in the hand of end users to get feedback like we did from you back then. But now it's our same approach still. Technically, Gelato is for developers. Like, we don't want to compete with any UIs out there. We are really a product for UIs, right? But sometimes it helps to ship this thing yourself, to step into the shoes of your customers, and our customers, of course, are developers, and to really understand their pain points. That's why we have like Sorbet, for example, just as an example. It's not really a playground because the stuff is audited and so on. Like, it's safe to use, and we definitely also like people can use it. But still, like, we really just want to showcase here to other UIs what Gelato can do. And with that, we have an open source JavaScript library that any UI developer can use to also integrate the limit order feature on their AMM UI immediately. Like, it takes 1 hour or less to integrate this. And that's what AMMs have already been doing, for example, on Phantom, Spooky Swap, and Spirit Swap launch limit orders powered by Gelato.
Yeah, I mean, like looking at this, so I'd love to see limit orders, which like Matcha does have a limit order UI. I'm not sure how well it works. I know there was quite a bit of limitations there, like at least 6 or 12 months ago. But if I could place limit orders versus the way I'm embarrassed how often I just market buy whatever token versus trying to get that better price using a limit order here, or taking profits on something and selling with a limit order. In case someone is less familiar with what a limit order is, can you zoom in just a little bit and just quickly talk through, like, pretend we're going to place a limit order. I just kind of like talk them through like the logic of why they might do that.
All right, yeah. So, I mean, as you can see, probably a lot of the UI here is from Uniswap v3, actually. I mean, Uniswap is like known to have one of the best UXs, so we wanted to borrow from that. And yeah, so if you normally, as a Web3 user, right, so you go to the Uniswap UI, and the only option you have, or like other UIs, the only option you used to have is placing a swap right now. And that's all cool, right? But that's technically, it's worse than what centralized exchanges offer you, because there you would normally place a limit order, right? Like, how often do you like go and like the price is just right? Like, normally you want to wait for the price to rise if you want to sell something, or for the price to drop if you want to buy something, right? So, I mean, like, waking up in the middle of the night just to catch the price is very unrealistic that this is healthy for you, and also it's still too slow. Like, you need to have bots to do that for you. Actually, in general, the whole thesis of Gelato is that everything that can be done with smart contracts will be done with smart contracts. Like, the whole financial system will probably run on smart contracts, and even more so, all the transactions won't be done by humans anymore. Like, we believe that Ethereum is really like a tool for, or a catalyst for, the machine-to-machine economy. And you can already see it now, like, users are competing with bots, and sometimes are front run by bots, right? So really what you want as a user on Ethereum is you want to have your own user agent, like a bot that interacts in your interest. And that's what Gelato allows developers to offer to their users. Like, Gelato is basically a network of bots, and developers can leverage this network of bots to basically give it to their users. And then you, as a user, you don't have to come to this UI and like swap just when the time is right. Like, you can task your bot to do it. Like, you can task your bot to wait for the price 24/7. The bot never sleeps, right? The bot transacts at like light speed almost. And yeah, you can chill on the beach and don't have to worry about that anymore. What you still have to do, though, most of the time, is to place your orders, and then in the future, whenever your conditions are met, like price or whatever time, then the bot will execute for you. So if we look at an example here, like for example on Uniswap, if you want to buy ETH, when the price drops,
this makes sense. Let's right now, the price of Ether today, is around 23.50. So
exactly.
If I wanted to buy it right above 2,000 DAI, I would just change that price there to what
exactly. You can just like say you think that ETH will maybe drop a bit, so you can change it to like you used to from centralized exchanges. If you use those, obviously I don't recommend it. Go decentralized, but now that's possible with Sorbet Finance to basically place limit orders like that. So basically, you're waiting for ETH to drop 17%. Let's hope it doesn't, but maybe we should do a different example on the birthday of ETH, but now we're here, and then you can basically place your order, right?
Hey, if you would have put in a sell limit order on Ether, I would have had to slap your hand. But no, we're
exactly. So what can you do, right? You can just buy Ether, so even better.
It's also probably a great time to remind everyone that this is not financial advice, and anything we talk about here you should not follow as an investment strategy. Anyways, continue, Lewis. Yeah.
Yes, definitely not financial advice. This is DeFi. There is a lot of risk involved, so yeah, you have to be aware of that.
This is about the tool here, though. I mean, this is, these are tools that normally you would have in a centralized exchange. Limit orders are in every centralized crypto exchange, but the power here is that you're getting beyond just swapping at whatever the market price is. And anyways, this is the type of tool that demonstrates the fact that you can build more automation into existing popular DeFi products by building with Gelato.
Yeah.
So we covered Sorbet. Like, I'm not sure if there will be anything to screen share unless maybe you have a suggestion for it. But I'm active in Instadap. I use Instadap to manage if I have a position in like Aave or Compound or Maker, and I've got this ability then to earn the Inst token. And the problem is that the pools that are incentivized are in Uniswap v3. So Uniswap v3 is really powerful for concentrated LPs. It puts it within a certain price range. While that's, I think, great for automated market makers long term, it's broken a lot of the composability that we have existing in DeFi. So my understanding is what Instadap built with Gelato, which allows me to deposit just my Inst, or sometimes my Instadap token plus some Ether, a little bit of Ether, depending on where the price is. I'm able to do that, and then the price range is getting moved according to, I guess, where the price of Inst according to the Inst price against Ether. So can you kind of like talk me through like what was necessary for them to implement this so that I, as a user, can have a similar experience with Uniswap v3 pools as to what I was used to with v2, where I just deposit one or two tokens and I'm an LP.
Yeah, so basically with this, we built a framework, an ERC20 wrapper called G-UNI. Obviously, shout out to G-Units. So basically this wrapper, I think, this wrapper basically, it has built-in automation from leveraging the Gelato network. So if you use this ERC20 wrapper, the biggest benefit you get is obviously fungibility, right? Like you can have pools now with fungible tokens like users are used to from Uniswap v2. But even cooler is that Uniswap v3 doesn't automatically reinvest the fees that you earn in the pool into the liquidity. So it doesn't have this compounding effect on the fees being earned. And here, if you use the G-UNI wrapper to basically launch your pools or use existing G-UNI pools, you get it for free. Like this automation of the fee investment is done for free for you by the Gelato network, or like for free, maybe not. There is a fee involved, of course. The bots have to.
Hey, Lewis, one thing I just learned then from you that I never understood is, so if I deposit liquidity into a Uniswap v3 LP, whatever fees I've earned, are they not compounding? Are they not like being placed into that price range and earning me more?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I did not realize that. Okay. Yeah. Wow.
That's one of the biggest. I think that's one of the biggest issues with Uniswap v3 actually. Yeah. So
like, let's pretend I put in. We're going to ignore the fact we're going to ignore the volatility of prices. Maybe I'm in an all stablecoin LP. So I'm in Uniswap V3. Let's pretend I put in like, just to keep it simple, 100 US dollars worth of tokens. If I earn $5 in fees, the $5, it's not like I have 105 now of liquidity working for me. I've got 100, and then the 5 is separate. That comes as, you know, part of the deal when I eventually withdraw from that LP. That's how it works today. Wow. Yes. Okay. Oh no. Now I understand. I was happy with just the price range being adjustable, but
so yeah, on the latter part, so we did actually, so initially the promise of G-UNI was also that it would automatically rebalance your pool for you. And this is actually where we want to go, but we realized very soon, I think other projects also realized this, that it's kind of degen. Like you can't just, like, there's no formula for that, mathematically speaking. You can't predict the price like that, right? So if you have a dumb algorithm to do that, you take on way too much risk, because yeah, you might wreck people just with the impermanent loss that you have from these rebalancing. So at the moment, G-UNI doesn't have this automation. Like we want to include it in the future and make it optional. But at the moment, what Instadap, for example, does is they use G-UNI. They get the fee rebalancing thing that's built in, that comes with the code. That's all cool. But the actual rebalancing of the tick ranges, this is done by Instadap. They're like pool managers, and they can do that manually every so often. And here at the moment, the human brain is still a bit better than any algorithm that we or anyone else could come up with right now. I'm pretty sure though that soon this will become like a niche, an industry niche, where maybe some hedge fund types, coder shops will evolve, and they will have like machine learning and so on to kind of start these automated rebalances. We probably will look into this too, but at the moment we still leave it up to the pool managers to rebalance on behalf of the liquidity providers every so often.
I like, this is great. This is selfishly why we do these live streams, because I feel like I end up learning something that is, and again, I've been excited and happy using it because it was just easy. It was easier for me to know that. So my fear with Uniswap V3 LPs is I want my liquidity to be working in there. With V2, it's not as capital efficient, but at least I just drop it in and I leave it and I come back, you know, to check on like how it's performing. But especially with a new token, Instadap's token is being really new, I would expect it to be very volatile in price. There's a lot of price discoveries going on. And so the challenge then is, well, what happens if it moves outside the price range? So one bonus for me was just, I can just put my liquidity in. It's as capital efficient as it should be with these new V3 concentrated LPs. But now I've realized this makes a lot of sense, like why the APY has been higher. There's 2 pools in Instadap. And, you know, full disclosure, I mentioned already I'm in them. So take whatever this is as any bias I have to talk about it. And it's not a recommendation that you should buy the token or get into the pool. But those pools, as I've been earning more Inst and Ether, I've seen those LPs grow, and it's because of this underlying automation from we're calling it the G-UNI tokens, but just think of it as like it's an LP token that has more automation thanks to the work that you guys do at Gelato.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, really what we built here is just a way for developers to ship Uniswap V2-like experience on top of Uniswap V3 to their users. And that's what people want, right? And yeah.
No, this is so cool. I'm just putting this, retweeting that out because it's great. Like, this is something I definitely learned something today. Then, Louis, why don't we pivot then to talk just a few minutes about, unless there's any other use cases like Instadap or Sorbet that we were able to highlight. You know, I'd love to just talk a little bit about, like, what do you need to know about this coming Gelato DAO? And then you all have, this was all publicly announced back in May, but they have y'all raised more money, and you have a token coming as well called Gel. So, anyways, what's the future with the two of these launching?
Yeah, first of all, warning to everyone, there have been some fake Gel tokens already been launched throughout last year, so be careful. The Gel token doesn't exist yet. I think there's even a token called Gelato Network, which we all flagged on Etherscan already, but there's scammers out there, so be careful. Go to our Telegram, our Twitter, and before and check with us if you want to do anything, buy the token or something. So yeah, I mean, when we started Gelato, notably we're, I would say, a seasoned project almost. We've been working on Gelato for more than 2 years, right? That's a long time in crypto. We started that in the bear market long before DeFi summer and everything else. So I think we're one of the few projects that took a conservative approach. We didn't want to start with a token. So we really just wanted to focus on the tech, on the use case, and make sure that we really have something that we can work on for 10 years or longer, right? Because otherwise, why launch a token? If everybody buys into your project and buys the token, and then you decide, okay, it doesn't make sense after half a year, that's just not very smart and not very ethical. So we really just make sure that what we're working on is worth working on, and I think we've proven that. The automation market, the total addressable market here is huge. Like I already said, we believe that more and more transactions will come to Ethereum and other networks, and more of them will be done by machines, by bots, and not by humans anymore. And we're here to facilitate that evolution. And yeah, so as such, we believe that Gelato will become a huge marketplace, which matches demand from dApp developers, InstadApp, Zerion, Zappa, all these amazing dApps, 1inch, you name it, Uniswap, with the supply from bot operators. And that's where Gelato is basically in the middle. The protocol is the middleman, if you will, but of course a smart contract, so that term is not quite fitting. It's a trustless protocol that these two parties can use to come into agreement with each other about automation, about the tasks that need to be executed, about the payment that should be done to the bots for that. And yeah, we're here to facilitate that, but obviously at the moment we're still a core team of 12 people, and a lot of control is still in our hands. And while Gelato has already been fully functional for 1 year, Gelato has already fulfilled its vision of its purpose of automating smart contracts, we believe that definitely it's also good to give away control over the network progressively to the community. And that's what you need a DAO for. That's what you need tokens for. The token is a utility token that will be used to regulate access to the network for bots. It will be used to vote on decisions in governance, about what features should be prioritized and so on. So that's why we will launch the Gel token. It's been long requested by our community for ages. We just took a very long time to do that. Obviously, we talked to lawyers, and we're in Switzerland. We're based in Switzerland. We made sure that everything is legally compliant there. And yeah, we're ready for the token sale now. That will probably be in August or September. No promises there yet, but it will be probably around that timeline. And yeah, we're really happy for that, because I think that will make it easier for a lot more people to engage with Gelato Network and to actually use it.
Yeah, and by the way, reminder to everyone: I am not invested in Gelato Network. This is just another example of. I try to think of myself as an open resource to the DeFi community, and being an early user, I think Gelato is it's an important protocol to making the DeFi user experience more simple and easy and automated. And you guys fall into a class kind of like the Ethereum push notification service is another one. You fall into this class of protocols that builders should be considering to make for a better, more adoptable DeFi application or Web3 application, whatever. Anything at this point built on Ethereum. And actually, on that note, Lewis, can you remind me, will Gelato support Polygon? Did you guys mention?
It's already supported. If you go to Sorbet, you can already just connect to Polygon, and actually Sorbet routes trades via QuickSwap at the moment.
Cool.
I think they did express interest in also using the limit orders library we have. It's not live there yet. We see about that, but maybe QuickSwap also will integrate them natively.
Are there any plans already to, like, I know long term you're going to support all the L2s like Optimism and Arbitrum, but I know that the big priority right now is you got to get this DAO stood up and token launched in the coming months. But I guess, yeah, where does that sit in your roadmap? Like, are you all in touch with Arbitrum, which everyone's obviously excited to see launch, and Optimism has had some huge updates lately?
So obviously we want to be everywhere where our users are. Polygon was just like Instantad basically told us they need automation on there, and that was for us the trigger moment to also deploy there, right? The same will happen for other networks. Yeah, I think we'll be everywhere for sure. We don't have any explicit plans yet when to launch on Optimism or Arbitrum. I'm not sure if it's even possible for everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can expect us to be there as soon as some decent usage is there.
Yeah, no, it's really exciting. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we should knock out here. I think we covered about everything. I guess anything else, Louis, that you think builders or users should know about in relation to Gelato?
Yeah, so first of all, for all developers, I think the biggest pain point for using or even learning about Gelato was our lack of documentation. We've set ourselves a goal to improve that and ameliorate that over the next coming months. That's also apology here to all developers. I think we really need to be better at that. Documenting and tutorials and so on is so important. Some alpha, I guess, is that you can also go to Sorbet. Actually, if you see my screen here.
Oh yeah, here we go. Oh yeah, walk us through that. We did miss that. So we talked through, like, the limit order is there to source from, at this point, Uniswap on Ethereum, but QuickSwap on Polygon. So what are the G-UNI pools for?
Yeah, so the pools, so G-UNI itself is a framework we built for any developer to use, right? And Instantad were the first ones to use it. And we once again here on Sorbet, we just want to showcase the power of G-UNI to developers. And basically, we have a bunch of pools here already. If you have any of these pairs, if you want to provide liquidity with them, you can ape into these pools. This is actually one aspect where Gelato, and also if you are a developer and you don't want to manage the pools yourself, like Instantad does it, these pools are managed by Gelato in terms of when to move the ticks around the price and so on. So yeah, you can have the full benefit of Uniswap v2 style LPing on Uniswap v3 here already, and soon this other UIs will use this as well. Like, I think Zerion is in the pipeline, and I'm sure other UIs will also pick this up. So yeah. Once again, like, when we're building these things, like these integrations, G-UNI, we're not trying to compete with any UIs. We build the stuff for UI developers. We just
I would love to see this added to Zapper and Zerion, and the limit orders too. That's something. In case anyone's wondering, I'm still obviously involved with Zapper, but I'm not a full-time member of the core team. So I'm speaking from more of like a user standpoint on wanting to see that on Zapper. Those G-UNI pools you mentioned. So okay. The two things that I really love about having used this now is the ease of being able to drop in my liquidity and just basically leave it, and not have to worry if it falls out of like a price range that it automatically, let me take that back, that you or someone has control to move that price range. So my liquidity is still being used. The other, I think, more obvious added value was the fact that you're auto compounding any profits I make and putting that liquidity to work. But I want to make sure we call out the risk here of the price range is controlled at this point in the G-UNI pools that you showed. And then I know with Instantad, the Instantad core team controls their price range on their pools. What sort of like risk should we call out there? I guess my concern is like what should you know ahead of time, since you aren't in control of the price range and you are trusting, in this case, we're trusting your team with the price range or the Instadapp team with that. And also too, I guess maybe with Sorbet Finance, like it's permissionless, but I don't want to misrepresent. This isn't trustless yet. Like there's a lot of centralized controls, right, on what you guys have built.
The limit orders are completely trustless. Like these are immutable smart contracts. They've been audited. You can verify them. And the whole point of Gelato is like the integrations, Gelato integrations. The whole point of building these integrations is encoding the rules of engagement into the smart contracts, so that the bots can't just come and do whatever they want, right? Like the bots need to have access to your funds, right? Otherwise they couldn't trade for you and so on. But obviously we don't want to give the bots your keys. That's like the invention of Gelato. Like whereas in the Web 2, like on Kraken or something, like the Kraken servers control your keys and they can do anything with your funds. Like with Gelato, that's not the case. With Sorbet, like limit orders, that's not the case. You don't give away your keys. You stay in full control. However, you do have to give some allowance to the smart contract, so that smart contract can allow the bot to trade for you. And that smart contract is also the party that kind of polices the bot on your behalf. And there's immutable rules that you can verify. They've been also verified by auditors that make sure that all the bot can do is use your funds to execute your trade with your minimum return. Like that's the worst that can happen, is that the bot just like executes your trade, which is what you want to happen anyway, right? So that's completely trustless. With G-UNI, it's a bit more complicated because there is this element of rebalancing, and like, I mean, who is here to like? This is what I meant earlier with there's no formula for it. It's not as easy with the trade.
We were joking about this. If there were a formula to move quickly into the price range, we wouldn't be doing this. We'd all be sitting on an island worth billions of dollars.
Exactly. So there is I would say a small element of trust. Like it's not 100% trustless, but even there, if you look at the smart contracts, what the manager can do for the pool's position is also limited. There are like they can't do anything completely crazy. I guess there is a small margin for like non-efficiency, if you want to call it like that. But yeah, again, like there's no
so like when I if I deposit into one of the G-UNI pools you showed on sorbet.finance, those smart contracts, those I'm assuming are amenable by your core team right now, which is worth calling out because there's risk in that sort of control. But you can abstract away that centralized risk eventually when the DAO launches, right? That's the goal with, and that's why
that's the whole point of the DAO as well, is to give all these controls. Some of them need to be there, right? And users also want that. Like part of good UX is like having some element of like other experts doing something for you, right? Like sometimes you want, if you're not like a Uniswap expert, you might want someone else to do it for you, right? But you don't want to give them all the control. So that's what that's what G-UNI is there for. Like you only have to give away a very small amount of control about the exact like tick range that they can use. But again, there's like a lot of limits here on what the manager can do, and really it doesn't make any sense for the manager to like not be as efficient as possible, because then you'll eventually just go somewhere else where you can earn better yield, right? The only thing, like, I mean, there's some impermanent loss risk whenever you rebalance, but also that is a bit limited. And the whole point of launching the DAO and so on is to also decentralize, and the token basically will help to decentralize this, to diffuse this control.
We're not like, I think the key takeaway here, if anyone was like tuning in late, is just that you will stand up the DAO, and that will right now you're in a journey to having this protocol decentralized. Today it is not fully decentralized, and just please be aware of like this risk right now. Like there is trust that you're putting into the Gelato team. That being said, I want to clarify that I personally have, because I've used Gelato the last few years, and because like there's just a known track record for your team. For me as a user, I've chosen to take that risk Please don't apply this logic to just any other team out there. Again, I think it's different when you've known a team for several years, you know the investors behind the team. You guys are in you're in a unique position right now. So that's why I've been a vocal advocate of why I'm using these G-UNI tokens. It'll be very exciting once you get the DAO stood up, because we'll no longer have to these sorts of risks we won't have to worry about once you've stood that up and properly decentralized and abstracted away these sorts of controls. So, dude, this is exciting. I'm just, yeah, wow, I definitely realize I've been misrepresenting the total value of the G-UNI pools. And like, it's a hot area to jump into, because between the G-UNI pools, I talked to Richard Chen, who backed Visor Finance last week. Uniswap V3 is so powerful and it's so much more capital efficient. But the issue, of course, is that it broke all of this like legacy infrastructure for us in DeFi. And so this is what I've been excited about, is like, who's going to help us to automate to that point of being able to have a similar, simple sort of just drop my liquidity in and leave it, let it. So right now that the one of the few options for me has been using these G-UNI pools. And if anyone wants to check that out again, I put up here, check out the limit orders for Uniswap or QuickSwap on Polygon. You can go to Sorbet.finance, and then if you click on the pools, those are these pools that auto compound your profits. Otherwise, if you're in a V3 LP, all the profits you earn, I mean, they accrue, but you're not you're not putting that to work. You would, and that sucks, right? Like, you want to, if you're making more money, you want it just to continue to earn more money. Louis, anything else that you think folks should know about? Like, I think we covered it all.
Yeah, we're pretty good. I mean, there's a ton of stuff I can tell you about Gelato, about how important automation is for the space to kind of like level up. And also to be the glue between, not just like, currently we're always in a bubble, right? I think you also need automation to kind of connect our space with the legacy space, with Web2, with fintech. But I think we can keep that for another session. Otherwise, I'll ramble on for forever here.
I guess a follow up to that is, if you were looking at the legacy Web2 space, what might you like in Gelato too? I think, like I mentioned originally, but I want to make sure people understand this is more of a developer building block now. I thought a lot about if this then that, except now being, again, more focused on working with the developers who will build that automation into applications. But any other companies you would liken yourselves to?
Yeah, so definitely AWS, AWS Lambda, Zapier. I guess AWS is a good example, but decentralized, of course. And if you want to be a bit more heady than that, I guess you could compare us to an operating system, an open source operating system like Linux, where eventually all applications, financial applications, and like other Ethereum applications, can basically have a unified way to schedule their tasks to the Gelato kernel, which is the decentralized network of bots.
Yeah. No. Makes sense. Last reminder, make sure you check out Gelato Network at gelato.network. You can follow Louis at @getpusha, and the Gelato Twitter handle is just Gelato Network, all lowercase, one word. And then just a reminder to everyone, subscribe at DeFiDad.com if you want to watch more interviews like this, where I'm trying to do this weekly so that we can, talk with builders like Louis about what's the next important protocol or application being developed in DeFi. Louis, I'm just going to end the broadcast, but we'll be in a green room in a second. So thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. And Louis, have a good weekend. Thanks so much for being able to join me.
Thanks, everyone. It was very nice talking to you today.
Awesome. Bye, everyone. And happy 6th Ethereum birthday. What an exciting day. This is like the perfect way to celebrate. So thanks so much, Louis. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.